Hi, this is the fifth and final scenario in the Kaplan exam kit for spreadsheets. It is called Star Tickets. Right, you work for Star Tickets, a small company selling tickets for music concerts. They've asked you to help them create a spreadsheet to help manage their ticket sales. They've given you the details for today's sales. So we've got an artist, day of concert, sales price. So that's how much we've sold it to the customer for, and the amount that the customer has paid, and then who sold the ticket. Task 1, the data worksheet contains lists of artists, sellers, and the various discounts to be used to calculate ticket prices on the ticket sales worksheet. Star Tickets buys tickets to sell on to customers. The face value of the ticket is £50, but Star Tickets receives discounts depending on which day the concert takes place. Right, so on the data worksheet, use a formula in cells C2 to C8 to calculate the discounted price for the day. So this is basically the £50 that they're buying them for minus the applicable discount. So equals £50, subtract, open a bracket, because it's the amount we want to subtract, which is 50 times the percentage that's been given. So, I mean, normally I would just go 50 times 0.75. I might have put in another column and worked out that 1 minus 25% was obviously 75% and used that, but it doesn't want us to do that. So I've done it as 50 minus 50 times that percentage. Okay, and then that formula will be the same all the way down, no absolute cell referencing required. Protect the worksheet so that users are only able to enter data into cells D2 to E8. Right, so we've got to figure out how we can have it that only these cells will allow stuff to be written into and not any other cell. All right, so the way that we do that is that we have to start by unprotecting the cells that we still want to be able to write in. So D2 to E8. So I'm going to highlight those cells, right click, format cells, protection, and then I want to unclick the locked because I don't want these cells to be locked when I apply the protection to the whole sheet. Right, so I'm kind of unprotecting them, if you like. Right, at the moment it doesn't make any difference, but then if we go to the whole sheet, review and protect sheet, we don't need a password, we haven't been told to use one, so just OK to that. So then what should have happened is that I should now be able to type in these cells, yes I can, but not be able to type anywhere else. It comes up with that error message. Okay. Right, on the ticket sales worksheet, use data validation to create drop-down lists for artist, day of week, and ticket seller. Right, so artist, data validation. I want to allow anything from the list of artists which are here. Days of the week, same again, data validation. I want it to be a list, and the days of the week are here, and the ticket seller data validation, allow list, ticket seller has just these three. Okay. Copy the data validation to row 8. So I copy that down to row 8. That should mean now if I go into any of those cells, I've got my drop-down list of things to choose. But if I go below it, there's no drop-down list. Perfect. Insert the information for today's sales from the table. Right, so this is a bit time consuming. I'm basically copying the table into my spreadsheet. But the good news is rather than sort of having to go drop down, find the one I want, if I just type the first letter, oh, it's not working. Thought that would work. So I do have to type into the drop down. Yeah. Downstream, upright legs. So it's still quite time consuming, but not quite as bad as typing it all. Other way, Nancy. Oh, this is when I can just do the N and it will know because it's guessing from above and downstream. Days of the week. So I've got Saturday, Tuesday. Oh, I keep wanting to do that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. This is a bit tedious watching me doing this, but I've just got to get that data in here. Saturday and Friday. Right, ticket seller, Jane, different order to what's there, Mark again. So we just type the capital letter once you've had it once, it will just copy. So I'm just going Jane, Mark, Jane. Right, so I've done that. In the purchase price column, create a VLOOKUP that selects the correct discounted purchase price based on what day of the week it is. So a VLOOKUP, should be getting good at these by now. Oh, trying to go too far. Look up, open brackets, look up the day of the week, comma, use this table to get the discounted price, which is in column 3. Before I do that, let me just put the dollar signs in, comma, column 3. Now, in fact, if I just put comma and then close the bracket, I don't even have to write false. It will assume that to be the case. And then copy that down. You can see that looks about right. Enter the data from the scenario for the sales price and amount paid. Right, so again, a bit tedious. I've got to type this in. So 30. I haven't even got a laptop that's got the numbers at the side, so it's even slower. 90, 80, 30, 45, 34. And the amount paid, 10, 60, 90, 80, 15, 45, 34. Right, so my understanding is purchase price, this is what Star Tickets has paid to buy the tickets. They've then sold them to a customer for the sales price, and they've received this amount of money, the amount paid from the customer so far. Right, in the amount outstanding column, create a formula that takes the amount paid from the sales price. So that's how much is left to pay. So it's just the sales price, subtract the amount paid, and then we can copy that down. In the profit or loss column, create a formula that calculates the profit or loss based on sales price less purchase price. So sales price less purchase price. So that's the profit or loss to the company. Hasn't told me to tidy these up at all, has it, into pounds? But keep going. Star ticket sales staff aim to sell each ticket for as much as possible. If they sell a ticket for more than the purchase price, they receive a bonus. So if it makes a profit, in other words, they get a bonus. So in the bonus payable column, use an if function to determine whether a bonus is due. If a bonus is due, the function should return yes. So equals if, open brackets. So if this H column is greater than 0, i.e. any kind of positive number, then yes, in speech marks, a bonus, and no if it isn't, close the brackets. And so we can see it's just basically the ones where there's a loss is a no, and the ones where it's a profit, it's a yes. I think they should be selling all these tickets at a loss. There we go. Set all monetary amounts on the ticket sales to pounds and 2 decimal places. So highlight all of those. Home, currency, which goes to 2 decimal places by default. If it didn't, I would use my up and down decimal places. Right, save it. Over the page, task 2, on the ticket sales worksheet, use conditional formatting to fill cells red in the profit and loss column where a loss has been made. So conditional formatting, if it's less than 0, that would be a loss. Red. Just going to check the answer for this. Is that right? Have I done that all right? I think it is. I'll keep going. In cell A10, yeah, label the row totals. Use a function to calculate the totals below the sales price and the amount outstanding. So the sum is a function. So sales price, auto sum, amount outstanding, auto sum. Use single line border at the top and double line bottom at the bottom. So easiest way to do them both at the same time, if I go select that one and then control and select, it will highlight them both simultaneously. Format cells, border, single line above, double line below, and it will just do those 2 cells. Customers can pay in instalments, although management have said that at the end of each day, the total outstanding balance owed cannot be greater than 10% of the total sales generated that day. In cell G15, it's here, create a formula to determine how much of the sales are outstanding as a percentage of the total sales. So the amount outstanding, divide by the sales, and I want that as a percentage. Format as a percentage to 2 decimal places, so increase decimal, 2 decimal places. Provide a suitable bold heading in cell F15. Percentage standing. It's in bold already. And write a line. That's done already as well. This is the write a line button. I thought it was going to say wrap text, but no, just write a line. In cell H15, here. Create an if function that determines whether the percentage would be acceptable. So we were told that it cannot be greater than 10%. So if this, so up to and including 10%, we're going to say okay. So if this is less than or equal to 10%, say okay. If it isn't, say not acceptable. Oops. Goodness. On this computer, close brackets. So it is under 10, so it is okay. Set orientation to landscape. I haven't done this for a while, let's just do it. Orientation, landscape. Show the formulas. Auto fit the column width. And fit the data to one page. So if we go to our view, page break view, it is in fact already on one page, but you could fiddle about with it on there if necessary. And save. Task 3. Management are also keen to identify any unpopular artists whose tickets are not making a profit. Using the data on the ticket sales worksheet, create a pivot table in a new worksheet. Right, so I'm just going to put this back to not showing formulas so that I can see what I'm doing easier and make those, whoops, make those a suitable width again so that I can see what's happening. Right, so I am going to highlight, what am I doing? I'm trying to work out, I'm doing a pivot table for profit, ticket seller and artist. So I need that data there. Insert pivot table, new sheet. So we want artist, we want we want profit. How much profit each ticket seller has made, and we want each ticket seller. Right, it conveniently tells us that we want the artist in the rows, so the ticket seller is in the column, and the system has already said sum of profit. If I can just remind you, if that doesn't work for some reason, if you right click on your pivot table, oops. Yeah, sorry. So highlight the whole thing, summarize values by. If you wanted to change it from sum to one of the others, that's how you get in there. Right, so there's my pivot table. Rename the worksheet pivot. Rename pivot. And move it to the right of ticket sales. Use conditional formatting to highlight the cells yellow in the pivot table where a loss has been made. Right, so home, conditional formatting, less than 0. I want it to go yellow. So that shows you the losses. And save, and that takes us to the end.